properly. And we are live with my icon today. You have seen me post and talk about Sara Camposarcone. By the way, Sara, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Sara Camposarcone? Yes, you are. Wonderful. Sarah has been teaching me for many months now what it means to be accepting and understanding of other people's styles because I grew up in a society here in Romania where we would be very judging of other people's entire looks and faces, and it got to a point where I felt really confused in my 20s. So that's why Sarah is here with us. We're going to start in just a few moments because I want you to really understand that whenever you see someone out there walking on the streets, it is for them to know what they're wearing, and that's it, right, Sarah? Yes, exactly. Wonderful. And starting IG live as well. Okay, just made a small adjustment. Okay, people can see you there. Hello, everyone. What a great pleasure and an honor to have with me the amazing Sara Camposarcone. She is fabulous in her simplicity, yet in her complexity as well. You are going to see shortly what I am talking about because she is the one that has this amazing courage to show up as it makes her feel her happiest self. She just dresses in whatever makes her happy, and this has inspired a whole generation. And if you haven't seen her TikToks yet, you are definitely going to find the link in the description of this live session. So, without any further ado, Sarah, if you are all ready, we are going to start the actual podcast, polished Spotify recording in just a few moments. Are you ready? I'm ready. Wonderful, and thank you so much. I want to thank you again for being here with me today, with us. Oh my God, I am just so ecstatic. It's just. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. And starting our actual Spotify recording in three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the most special episode of the Stories About Fear podcast with my icon today, the amazing Sara Camposarcone, who is a maximalist, a sustainable maximalist, and an amazing fashion designer that uses her wonderful, unique style to express her wonderful personality. And she is the one that says that whenever she goes out in an ideal world, she would want that no one would figure out what she's wearing. She makes acceptance as her amazing motto. And just a few words about Sarah because she'll be doing most of the talking today, not me. Sarah's style inspires towards unity, finding your own unique style and being accepting of everything and everyone around you. Sarah says that she calls herself a sustainable maximalist because her style is very eclectic and 95% of her closet is secondhand or vintage. She likes having a lot to look at. It keeps things interesting, fun, and youthful. Sarah says, I feel like I dress like a kid sometimes, which I love. I wear whatever makes me happy. Welcome, Sarah. What a great honor to have you here with me today. Thank you so much for having me. Sarah, what is your story? Because I know that things were not as free and wonderful for you back then. What changed you? Yeah, so I definitely have had like a little bit of a journey when it comes to my personal style. I think, going through like my high school days and just being like that age and at that time, I definitely shopped
a lot of faster fashion. I definitely kind of was still trying to figure out my personal style, like who I am, what I really love to wear, and at the same time, like building up my confidence. Especially at that time, I feel like was super crucial in me figuring out my personal style. I think I've come to this place now in my life where I feel confident in everything that I wear. I feel confident wearing it outside of my house, in public, and I just feel overall a lot happier with myself and the way I carry myself. And I think that that's something that I kind of figured out just recently, I'd say a few years ago. It kind of started during the pandemic when I think a lot of us were kind of going through a little bit of a tough time, kind of like in a little bit of a rut, especially when it came to getting dressed every day. I kind of got into that habit of wearing my pajamas all day, every day. And so for me, fashion has always been a creative outlet where I can kind of show my authentic self the best. I grew up, fashion has been around me just constantly, just influences within my family from that to watching like fashion documentaries growing up. I've always loved it. So during the pandemic, I kind of got to play around in my closet a little bit more, kind of just trying different things out on myself. And I started at this time recording it. And that's when my TikTok kind of started and kind of, went from there and grew from there. And now it's like grown into such a wonderful thing because it's not only just now about fashion and clothes, it's about, confidence and learning to accept other people and, you know, just to embrace who you are and not care about what anyone else has to say because at the end of the day, you know, you need to love yourself first. And I think like at that point when you kind of get to that spot in your life where you really do love yourself, I think that truly like nothing can kind of like tear you down, I feel like you're the most powerful you that you can be when you're at your peak confidence level. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. And I saw that yesterday you had this beautiful TikTok with your mother.
Yeah.
That was so inspiring, Sarah. And would you say that you have achieved this amazing, unique style thanks to your support system coming from your family?
Mhm. I have. I feel like, that's something that I definitely like really appreciate because I know that not everyone has a support system like that, but it's something that I do really preach to people. Like definitely, surround yourself as much as you can with people that really understand you and love you for who you are, and who accept you. So that's something that's super important, even if even if it's just your friends too, because I've had friends. Sometimes I feel like growing up, you have friends that just come and go, and I think it's really important to keep the ones that really care about you around for sure. So yeah.
Definitely. I think this is an ongoing process where you just learn along the way. And Sarah, since you say that other people's opinions do not matter, and I agree completely, why would someone that has nothing to do with my style comment on what I am wearing? Has
Yeah.
it ever been an issue for you to maybe think, well, maybe I should just have less items on, or what are your thoughts about this? Have you been influenced at the beginning of your journey?
Yes, definitely. I think that again, it ties into just like the way that you view yourself. I think you're more easily like hurt by those comments, or you kind of listen to them a lot more when you're not so sure about yourself and what you're wearing, and that's totally fine. That's all part of the process. I've definitely been in that position too, where I got some comments, especially at the beginning of all of this, posting myself online for anybody to see. I still to this day will get negative comments, and I think when I think back to when I first started my TikTok to now, I even probably was more affected by those comments at the beginning than I am now. And I think it's really important to remember that it really is only about like what you think about yourself. I think it's also like something to remember that people are always going to have something negative to say. You can be, Taylor Swift or like the most beautiful, like famous person. It doesn't matter. You're always gonna have someone who doesn't agree with it or doesn't see the vision that you have. And that's just honestly as sad as it is sometimes, because I wish we lived in a world where everyone was just kind of understanding of each other's personal style. It is something that kind of just comes with expressing yourself the way that you want. But that's again where believing in yourself and loving yourself and just like embracing the way that you dress and the way that you look really is important.
Love it. This is very empowering and very inspiring for me as well because I would be maybe 10 years ago afraid to go outside if I think that I would not look according to society's norms. I would have this social anxiety. And the more I began to learn about this, I understood that, okay, I'm just afraid because I do the same thing to other people. I mean, I would judge people on a regular basis, their hair, their makeup, their shoes, everything. And I wanted to ask you, Sarah, do you think that you can give an advice for a young lady that is at the beginning of her journey trying to figure out who she is? What would the number one step be to make sure that she builds a confident self more than anything else?
Yeah. I think that, I mean, especially at that age is when I feel like it's like the best to teach kids to accept others. I think that, I mean, everyone has probably at some point in their life kind of subconsciously, maybe even in their head, judged someone else. And I think like for kids, the most important thing to kind of remind them more than I guess even not to judge and other people, but to just really love themselves. I think that that's something that I feel like maybe not enough people kind of like are vocal about with the younger generation. Because I know especially when I was that age, like going through a lot of like weird changes and things are so like hard to kind of navigate on your own. And I think that like another thing to obviously to keep in mind at that age too is that everyone is different. Even if someone like looks completely different or they look like similar to you, everyone's different. Everyone's like unique in their own way. And I think it's important to kind of remind people that that's actually a really beautiful thing, that we all have different like things to bring to the table, different ideas and creative things to share with each other. And I mean, that's all kind of how you even make friends and stuff at a younger age. Like you kind of meet people and you learn to accept people in different ways, I think. So yeah.
Love it. Love this advice. So, the number one thing is self love. And I agree. I mean, if you're not comfortable with yourself, you'll always try to copy other people, always be a people pleaser. Indeed, and I used to be very good at people pleasing until one point I realized that, okay, whose life am I living here? What am I doing here? Because it was not looking okay for me in any way. Sarah, has fear been a good lesson for you through the years? What would you say about that?
I would say yes. I think that kind of having that like fear to kind of express yourself along the way is again just part of the process. I get a lot of people kind of asking, oh, I want to dress like, very similar to you. I love your style. I'd love to start getting into maximalism, but how do I do that? And I think it's like just important to remember that I didn't just like dive into the style and just go head first and boom, there I am. It's been very long process of trying out, different styles. At one point, I wore a lot of darker clothing, and at that time, at that point in my life, it worked for me, but I just didn't feel as beautiful as I feel like I should. I was probably a little bit more insecure with myself. But having those, like, kind of breaking down those barriers where you feel a little bit scared to try something new is important for growth. I mean, that's how we grow and we learn new things, is kind of overcoming any fear that we have, especially when it comes to expressing ourselves. I feel like it's totally normal to be scared to try new things, but at the same time, you need to do that to kind of get to that point. And I feel like if you do kind of get over these fears that you have, that's when you'll eventually get to, where you need to be in your life and where you need to be with your personal style and your confidence.
Wow, I love this. I love this so much. It's like breaking through it. It's basically you don't have any other choice unless you really test things out, right? Get the
Mm,
colors or the non-colors, just play around
yeah.
and find which is your best style. And I know you live by this awesome quote, more is more. Many people prefer less is more. What does more is more mean to you, Sarah?
So I use the quote "more is more" in like reference to maximalism, which is the way that I love to dress. Basically, it's like the opposite of minimalism, where people would say less is more. For me, I love like piling on accessories and jewelry and layering my clothes and mixing textures, because it gives this very interesting like overall look. I feel like sometimes people are really like just staring at me trying to like dissect my outfit, which I love because to me it's almost like an art piece where you have to stare at it for a good 5 minutes to kind of figure out what's exactly going on in there. So for me, maximalism, even when I see other people dressed in their maximalist outfits, it's what like kind of makes my like kind of brings me this like little burst of energy and joy. Like I get super excited. It's something that just it makes me super happy. I definitely dress in a way that always makes me happy, and that's something that I think is also very, very good for my own mental health as well. So
Love it. You are actually the first person, Sarah, that says that you dress up to just make yourself look and feel happy. Many women out there, and I don't think that they even realize, and men, they dress to impress. And the thing is that I see this in big gurus on personal development posts. They say that you need to be making an impact. Well, yeah, but only if you want to impact yourself first, right? I mean, you need to look in the mirror and just have this aha moment that, yeah, I look amazing. I'm so
yeah.
happy for me, right?
Mhm. Yes, I agree with that completely. I think that that's like what is most important. I think a lot of us, again, it's such a journey because I think that even I was in a phase at one point, especially when I was a little bit younger, like in high school, wanting to dress to impress definitely boys at the time. That was what I was definitely focused on. And again, like that's something, even at that time, it's nice to have those kind of age groups watching my videos because I love to kind of remind them, especially at that age, like you need to dress for yourself first. Like you need to wear what makes you happy. Dressing a certain way for anybody else for any reason is honestly it's quite silly. Because at the end of the day, yeah, like you're your own person. Like you were given like this body and this mind to kind of like create whatever you want, what kind of art you want on your body and stuff like that. And that's just why I don't know. Clothing is so beautiful because everyone's just so different with it. But I love that we can all appreciate each other's way of dressing.
Love it, definitely. And one of my favorite clothing styles that you have ever tried on, I must say that it is the candy one. I
Yeah.
love that one. I think it was from around 2 months ago because I know them all. You're like this burst of color and expression and happiness when I see them. And I actually go on your TikTok and just refresh the page. I have a baby girl, she's 2, and we actually watch them together because it's
Yeah.
just so much happiness, Sarah.
Oh,
This is
thank
so
you.
inspiring. This is just making yourself happy at a whole new level. I know that
Yeah.
you are creating these amazing rings. What
Mhm.
inspires you to keep on producing those beautiful works of art?
So I think I started kind of, I've always been creative. So, for me, kind of making something of my own was just another way to kind of like have my creative outlet. Again, I started it during the pandemic too. So it was like something I was just doing for myself. And then, I gave some to friends and family. And then they kind of grew from there and I made a website and stuff. But a lot of my designs and things that I make on my website there are inspired by myself and things that I love. So they're all very fun, colorful. A lot of them have like just super fun like things that I kind of make me think like about my childhood. Like a lot have like
Oh,
little candies and gummy bears and cute stuff like that. Um, and they kind of just remind me of like, yeah, like something I would wear when I was a kid and something that I feel like kids would love like to wear now. And it's just again like another way for me to kind of just like be creative, make whatever I want. And it's so nice that people are so supportive of it and love it too, just as much as I do. So yeah, it's been a fun journey.
these are fabulous. And Sarah, can we expect to see any more new creations, maybe other types of accessories in the future? What are your plans about this?
Yes, I'm working on like a few collaborations, which is going to be super fun. Where I'm going to be making something with another brand that's totally new, nothing I ever made before. And then I also have, so I started with rings, and then I kind of started doing little bangles, and they're like really fun, colorful bangles filled with again like candy and happy faces and cute stuff like that. And I'm selling them at a museum in New York. They're having like a maximalism exhibit, and so they're gonna have a bunch of my bracelets there being sold, which is super cool.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, very exciting. But definitely, I'm always creating things and coming up with new ideas. So there's definitely more things to come.
that is amazing. And I'm really, really excited for you and our fearless friends. You can see more of Sarah's amazing work on her website. It is sarahcampbell.ca, right, Sarah?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Loving your work so much. And before we go, Sarah, where can people get to see your beautiful masterpiece of dressing up? How can people get inspired by your work?
So you can follow my TikTok. My TikTok name is Sarah Camps with a Z. And then on Instagram, it's my whole name, Sara Camposarcone. But yeah.
Wonderful, Sarah. I mean, you are this ray of light and happiness that is just inspiring everyone to be themselves, and that's it. Don't try and figure out anything else, just do what makes you happy. It has been amazing having you on, Sarah. Thank you so much. What a privilege and an honor to have you join us today.
Oh, of course. And thank you. Thank you for having me.
And saying goodbye to our YouTube friends. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh.